Hey everybody. I didn't want to do a video today, but I found something interesting that I thought was worth noting. So I decided to run it. Concerning all those stories in the news about how citizens are armed and guarding recruiting stations. This coming from KLTV7. Citizen militias stand guard in front of Tyler Military Recruiting Office. WMUR 9 ABC. Volunteers take up arms to guard recruiting center. Guns.com. Armed citizens guard military recruiting centers. Basically the same thing. If you want to end gun-free zones endangering our troops, pick up your phone. That's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, and this one's more that they want to expand the Texas Rep wants to end gun-free zones in hospitals. But the story I wanted to talk to you about is about the recruiting stations and the citizen militias basically going forward and standing in front of the recruiting stations with guns. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not one to say that this is all false, but I have to say, from what I see, this is not necessarily the only thing going on. I mean, these could be FBI guys for all we know, and they're basically waiting for a citizen to stand there with them, and then they make an arrest. For all we know, I have no idea. I don't know anybody who's done this successfully.
With Ja'Cory, exclusive at Jim Bartlett Fine Jewelry.
Yay, Jim Bartlett.
2501 Judson Road.
Nobody cares.
The recent Chattanooga shooting that killed 5 military men at a recruiting office has encouraged one militia in Tyler to stand guard in order to protect our servicemen and women. It was a rare sight to see blinds closed, doors locked, and the only way to enter recruiting offices was through a knock at the front door. Veteran Jerry Pleasant and his team said they were defending those who they say cannot defend themselves.
So while members of the military were inside buildings going about their jobs, these well-trained and licensed civilians were outside, armed with automatic weapons.
Semi-automatic weapons.
It may seem like they're looking for trouble, and the reality is they are.
The threats here, that was an act of war last week on this country.
Some are veterans, some are off-duty cops, others just civilian patriots, like Tim Dow, who's taking a vacation from his job at ServPro to stand guard outside the Armed Forces Recruiting Office in Manchester.
So I don't know how many of you guys did this. I wanted to, but none of my friends had off to even go by and ask permission if me and a couple buddies could bring ours and stand guard. That's what I would have actually done. I would have actually gone into the recruiting station, and I have, obviously with no guns in the parking lot, and I would have actually asked permission if we could basically do this for them. And I think the answer would have been no, but we would have gotten an answer anyways, and that would have been a good thing. Now, there's a lot of stuff on this, and this is the reason I'm bringing this, people. Because the Army is basically stating to recruiters, treat armed citizens as a security threat now. This is coming from Tactical News. I don't know. According to this just came out July 23, 2015. I don't know exactly who half these people are that are doing this. I would imagine the majority of them are police officers off-duty. And I doubt, honestly, if half these guys that you see doing this aren't some kind of officer or security guy who's already been told, hey, show up here and do this for us, thanks. I'm not going to say it's a rent-a-crowd company with guys who are CPL holders with guns that are just standing out here looking like they're actually doing something. But the very fact is, in none of these cases, folks, and I'm going to say this out front, in none of these cases, folks, have any of the police stopped these guys and said, hey, listen, we got a call. You know, this is actually a bad thing. We would like you to please disperse and go home. And basically, you know, the Army recruiters treat armed citizens as security threat. This is what it's coming down to, folks. If they won't act, we got to act for them in one way or another. I think if a bad person sees 8 armed citizens standing guard, I don't think that one guy is going to do anything stupid. But here it is from Washington by itself. The Army has warned its recruiters to treat the gun-toting civilians gathering at centers across the country in wake of the Chattanooga, Tennessee shooting as security threat, or as a security threat. Soldiers should avoid anyone standing outside recruiting centers attempting to offer protection and reporting them to local law enforcement. This is what I'm telling you. And the command, if they feel threatened, according to the United States Army recruiting command policy letter issued Monday. So if they feel threatened. Majority of these guys I don't see even giving a flying shit. In fact, I think the Marines and Navy and everybody would come out and actually take pictures. I don't know if they would in this area due to the high threat level. They wouldn't want, you know, Joe Blow to be on record saying, yeah, these guys are near us, yay, and, you know, put his picture out there, or her picture out there. But if I saw 3 or 4 guys out there and I knew 1 or 2 were cops, and one of my cop buddies would probably be one of the guys that go with me to do this, I would definitely feel secure in doing this. I wouldn't have an issue. As long as I went, I asked and said, you know, we'd like to do this for you. Right now I know that they say no, but here the situation is. Armed citizens, some associated with activist groups and militias, were standing vigil outside recruiting centers in Wisconsin, Georgia, Tennessee, Idaho, and elsewhere in the week, saying they want to provide protection to our service members barred from carrying firearms on duty. 4 Marines and a sailor were killed by you-know-who, a 24-year-old Kuwaiti-born native of Tennessee, during an attack Thursday at a strip mall recruiting center and a Navy facility that is being investigated for an act of terrorism. And it basically says, I'm sure the citizens mean well, but we cannot assume this in every case, and we do not want to advocate this behavior, according to the Army Command Operations Center Security Division letter, which was authenticated by the service members. I'm going to say 2 things for this, folks. One is, none of the guys that are really in the recruiting centers are going to give it flying super flip. Honestly, they're not. I think for the most part, you know, if you have 2 guys out there, they're going to say okay. But if you bring, like, say 10 guys, they're going to call cops. And you're going to have 10 armed citizens standing down 2 patrol officers. What exactly do you think is going to happen? Exactly. So I would definitely, if you're going to do this, I would get permission. I would get it in writing. So when the police come, they will come. When the police come, you have a letter signed that says, me could do this. And if people show up that aren't on your list, guess what? They're not invited to the party. And they're encroaching on these rights, and they need to go in there and work the same deal out because they're not with me. Thanks. Alright guys, I saw this and I thought I'd put it out there. Thanks everybody. God bless everything else.